This video is going to cover Unit 18.5. 18.5 deals with word problems involving complete quadratic equations. Okay, so we're looking at page 510, right about in the middle, example 1. We'll start with example 1. The sum of two numbers is 13. So that means I'm going to write x plus y equals 13. And their product is 40. So that means x times y equals 40. Okay, so now what are the two numbers? Okay, so here's two equations and two variables. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one of them and I'm going to solve for it. So I can either solve for x or y here, or I can solve for x or y here. I think that's a tough choice. Let me use this one right here, and I'm going to solve for x. So I'm going to say x is equal to 13 minus y. Now I'm going to take that 13 minus y and put it right there in for x. So x times y equals 40. Okay, now I'm going to distribute this y, and I'm going to get 13y minus y squared equals 40. So let's go ahead. This time I'm going to get the y squared term. I'm going to go ahead and leave it a negative. So I'm going to get the 40 over here. So what I'm going to end up with is a negative y squared plus 13y minus 40 equals 0. All right, so minus 13 plus or minus 13 squared minus 4 times a, which in this case is a negative 1, times c, which is a minus 40, and then the square root of that. All of that divided by 2a, which is a negative 2. Okay, so let's find out what this is underneath the radical square root of 13 squared. I should have known that was 169. Minus 4 times negative 1 times negative 40. So all of that underneath that radical is a 3. So that leaves me with a negative 13 plus 3, not 2, divided by a negative 2, and a negative 13 minus 3 divided by a negative 2. So let's whip that one out. So a negative 13 plus 3, negative 2. So this one is 5. Oops. 5. And fraction bar, negative 13 minus 3, negative 2. And this one is 8. Okay, so what I solved for here is y. I found out what y was. So y is one of these two. So let me put 5 in right here. So x plus 5 equals 13. So that tells me that x will be 8. So if I subtract 5 from both sides, subtract 5, so x equals 8. Well, let me put an 8 in for y. X plus 8 equals 13. So minus 8 minus 8. So x will equal 5. Okay, that seemed kind of obvious, but it's not always that straightforward. So the two numbers are 5 and 8, and it really doesn't matter which one is which. Because when I had y as 5, I found that x was 8. When I had y was 8, I found that x was 5. So it didn't really matter which one was which. Okay, so let's take a look at some more of these kinds of problems. Let's see. Same kind of thing there. Same kind of thing there. Let's go ahead and go to page 512 and look at number, see if I can find what's a little different. 10. 10 looks good. I hope I have enough room on here for 10. Okay, if the square, okay, 10, if the square of a number is increased by 4 times the number. Okay, I had to imagine that for a moment. If the square of a number is increased by 4 times that number, the sum is 96. Okay, the hardest part about this is writing it down. Once you have it, you can see that it's a quadratic. It's going to be x squared plus 4x minus 96 equals 0. The hardest part about these is setting up the equation. Once you've got the equation, you just simply put a, b, and c in the proper places and then solve the quadratic. Let me read that one more time to make sure I didn't miss anything. The sum of the square of a number is increased. Sum. Yep. So that means that we have a minus 4 plus and minus 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times a negative 96. All of that is the square root divided by 2a, which is just going to be 2. Once again, let's take a look at the radical. So square root of, let's see, 16 minus 4 times a negative 96. All of that equals 20. Most of these are coming out to be nice, neat numbers. So we've got minus 4 plus 20 divided by 2 and minus 4 minus 20 divided by 2. So this one's going to be a negative 12. I can see that. And this one is going to be 8. Ta-da! There's nothing in there in this problem that would indicate that I have to choose between the 8 and the 12. What is the number? Nope. So let's say, for example, if number 10 said something like something along the lines that it had to be positive or that it had to be negative or something like that. And that would help us to choose specifically which of these answers would be correct. But based on the way it's worded right now, I can't really choose between the two. I just have to say it's either going to be the 8 or the negative 12. There's really no other way to specifically get any more detailed than that. All right, so let's take a look at number, let's see, kind of like number 8, but we've done one like that, but let's go ahead and do 8 anyway. Why not? Okay, so the sum of two numbers is 11, so x plus y equals 11. And also, the sum of two numbers, and twice their product is 56. So 2 times x times y is equal to 56. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve this one for x. So let's see here. Divide by 2, and I have x times y equals 28. So x is equal to 28 divided by y. Now last time we solved over here, which kind of made it a little simpler. This is not really all that bad though. So let's go over here and say 28 divided by y plus y equals 11. Okay, so a couple things might be going through your mind right now. One of them might be adding fractions means I have to get a common denominator. However, what if I just simply start out by subtracting y from both sides? That's going to get me 28 divided by y equals 11 minus y. So now what I need to do is multiply the y out and multiply this side by y as well. So I have 28 equals, and I'm going to go ahead and distribute that y, 11y minus y squared. So let's get everything on this side. So y squared minus 11y plus 28 is equal to 0. So 11 plus or minus 121 minus 4 times 28. So 1 is in there, it's not needed to put. Divided by 2a, which is just going to be 2. So let's find out what this is. Square root of 121 minus 4 times 28, 3. So underneath the radical is 3. So 11 plus 3 divided by 2, and 11 minus 3 divided by 2. So 14 divided by 2 is, so one of my answers is a 7. 8 divided by 2, one of my answers is a 4. So let's go ahead and come up here to this one and put a 4 in for x. So I will have a 4 plus y equals 11. So that means that y will be an 7. 7. Don't do it too quickly in your head. So y equals a 7. And now I'm going to put in the 7 plus y equals 11. So y would be a 4. So the two numbers are 7 and 4, and it doesn't really matter which order those ones go in. Okay, so let's take a look at one more, because I know that one of these doesn't work out quite so neatly. The sum of 9. One number is 7 more than a second number. Nope, not that one. I think it's number 7. I think number 7 is the one. So let's take a look at that one. The difference between two numbers is 5. So x minus y is 5. Feel free to choose any variables you wish. I will always stick with x and y, just because I'm anal that way, I guess. Their product is 104, so x times y is equal to 104. All right, so let's go ahead and solve this one for x. So x is equal to 5 plus y. Put it in over here. So x times y equals 104. Distribute that y, so I've got 5y plus y squared minus 104 equals 0. I don't really need to put it in the proper order. I know that this is B, that's A, and that's C. All right? So minus 5 plus or minus 25 minus 4 times 1 times a minus 104. And that is a square root, all divided by 2a or 2. Let's go ahead and do that radical. Feeling kind of rad. 25 minus 4 times negative 104. Underneath the radical is 21. 21. So that means I have a minus 5 plus 21 divided by 2 and a minus 5 minus 21 divided by 2. Negative 5. So this one is 8. And this one is a negative 13. Okay, so 8 and negative 13. And this was y that we had solved for. So x, I mean. So y equals that or that. So let's put y in over here. So, give me some more room. I don't have a whole lot of room to finish this. So x minus 8 equals 5. So that means that x must be, so if y is 8, x will be 13. Now, let's do it again. Let's put in x minus a minus 13, which means plus 13, equals 5. Subtract 13 from both sides. So that means that x will be a negative 8. Okay? So the two numbers are either 8 and 13 or negative 8 and negative 13. So these ones are a little bit different. So it's not always as cut and dry as it was with the 7 and the 4. It depends. If one of them is 8, the other one is 13. If one of them is a negative 13, the other one is a negative 8. Okay. That's beating those to death. There's a couple on the other page that require you to know things like the Pythagorean theorem and some other stuff that we have not covered yet. So I don't really want to talk about those right now. We'll talk about problems very similar to those when we do cover the Pythagorean theorem.